Welcome to our community church, Unitarian Universalist. I am Alicia, your worship associate, and it is a joy to be with you today. So who are we as community church? We are a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is faith in action, as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being. This week, we are very pleased to welcome a new speaker to our pulpit. Scierra LeGarde is a member of the Bayou Lacombe Band of Choctaw located in Tammany and Washington Parish, and is a resident of Bvlbancha, commonly known as New Orleans. She is also a member of OHIH, which in the Muscogee language translates to People of the Sacred Medicine Trail, an intertribal food sovereignty network aimed at the continuation of sacred long-standing cultural practices connected to food, medicine, and land, and is in her 5th year learning Bayou Lacombe Choctaw style of basket weaving from Mr. Colvin. Her passion as an educator is to challenge the ways many non-Indigenous people learn about Native history and culture by including contemporary issues from Indigenous perspectives. So we are very happy to have her here. Before we get started, I'm going to bring Michelle up with a couple announcements.
Good morning. Good morning. A couple of things. I just want to remind everybody we have a Get Out the Vote postcard writing party after church today. Please stay if you can or would like to. We have some bean soup and bread, and you don't have to write postcards to get lunch, so please stay. Also reminding you that next week we will have a congregational meeting after the service. We're going to discuss a couple of things, one of them being the ministerial search, and the other is that GNU, the Greater New Orleans UU Cluster, has some grant money that we need to spend before the end of the year. And there are some ideas floating out there the GNU board has been working on, and we want to run them by the congregation, and we want people to have buy-in on how it's being spent, and we would like people to participate in things. So we'll be talking about that to see what speaks to the most people here. And that's it. Thanks.
Please turn to the back of your order of service and join me as we read our land acknowledgement aloud. We acknowledge and pay tribute to the original inhabitants of this land. The city of New Orleans is a continuation of an indigenous trade route on the Mississippi River, known for thousands of years as Bvlbancha. Tribes that have lived on this land include Caddo, the Natchez, Choctaw, Bvlbancha, Oma, Tunica, Biloxi, Bvlbancha, among others. We recognize that as a result of broken treaties and involuntary removals, Native Americans were often forced from their lands. We remember and pay respect to the communities impacted by these actions. Native peoples have lived on this land since the time immemorial, and the resilient voices of Native Americans remain an inseparable part of our local culture. With gratitude and honor, we acknowledge the indigenous nations that have lived and continue to thrive here. And Scierra has our opening words.
Chirokka, amamoma ishakwe ishvinircha, oklahapia papopa, ish atabliachma, timonase arokma, ish hape elovirituka, yokoki, ichimachi. Hikia, hapishno, hicha hapem anupa, moimaka, ish Bvlbancha achnili. Hikia, yakipar arokma, pihama, aroka, yakoke, ilachi. Creator, highest of all, you said, and surrounding us all, you exist eternally. So at this moment, because you take care of us, we say thank you. Us and all of our language, I hope that you will bless. And for this land, because it continuously gives to us, we say thank you.
Let us now prepare for worship with our chalice lighting. It is Community Church's custom to light a chalice invoking hope and eternal truth to our worship. Please join us in singing We Light This Flame with the words printed in your order of service. For our Words for All Ages.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yay, I see a waiver. Yay. So this morning I'm going to share with you a poem by the Shoshone Choctaw poet named Edward Ford. It's called Tribe. The greatest hallmark of my sacred tribe is one of profound pride and an irresistible strength to overcome any obstacle. Descended of Shoshone, Choctaw, and the motherland, from across the Atlantic Ocean, genealogy reveals a touch of Mediterranean and French. One glance speaks volumes of a most favorable blend of DNA. Revered by the wise and despised openly by the jealous and weak. Regardless, those of this breed stand tall and proud each day. The mantles they wear and have worn are many of varied and value and meaning to scores, protectors, teachers, sensei, and sage. The small-minded man seek to discredit and taunt what they could never hope to be or understand, refusing the gift of transcending evolution. I am so blessed, just as you, but I must not linger in the filth of anger. A self-consuming hatred, I offer you a smile and a gift. Forgiveness of the sin, perhaps that of your progenitors, a simple yet defining word, ignorance. No delusion of greatness, just a charge to keep, spoken to me mere minutes ago by an angel in the flesh. So if I choose at last, I am truly worthy. So come with me. Now the past is a memory. Promise of a better future is yours within this tribe. Thank you. And I have little bitties, so please sing with me and go now in peace. Thank you.
So now is our sacred time of joys and sorrows. If you have a need to share with this community, whether it be something that weighs heavy on your heart these days, or letting us know what reason there is to celebrate, please write your message on one of the cards that our ushers have, or if you're joining us online, you can write in the chat box to be read out loud after our musical interlude. So you may remain seated for number 1069, Ancient Mother.
You can do it 4 times.
From Jim O'Neill, a joy to have Scierra LeGarde with us to honor Indigenous stories and people. Jacqueline is happier to return to our beloved church community. I'm trying a new medicine that seems to be working. And we will light 2 more candles. One for the joys left unsaid, perhaps still waiting to be shared, and one for the sorrows left unsaid, perhaps that we cannot yet put words to. Know that we love you, and we hold you in our hearts. Normally I have a joy for multiple forms of technology, but some of them are.
Push it forward, push the button.
I'm pushing it forward, and then I push the power button. And, oh, that one is not well. One more, right? Whew, we got through that, so that calls for an extra joy. Just gonna.
Hello everyone, hello. Good morning. I'll start out with the Chinchabananoa, the alligator story. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. So once upon a time, there was an alligator named Chinchuba. And one of Chinchuba's favorite pastimes was to go out in the early morning hours of the shores of the bayou and just bask in the sun, just lay out there all day. Well, one day he decided, you know, I haven't been around this corner, and I'm gonna go and see if I could find just a new place to go and lay my head. So he walks and he walks and he lays down and he thinks, you know, this is nice, but I see that corner over there and I see that little hill. I think I'm gonna go over that hill and see what's beyond there. So he walks and he walks, and he sees the hill. He gets on. He reaches it. He lays down. And he says, you know, it's just not right. It's just not. It's not where I need to be right now. So I'm gonna just keep walking. He keeps walking. He sees these beautiful pine trees. He sees, let's see, these flowers that he's never seen before because, you know, he's never been that far upstream. So he's walking, and then he realizes he's walked really far, and he's getting higher, and he's getting tired, and he's just thinking, oh, well, you know, I'm probably just need to, you know, relax and take a break. Well, he doesn't realize that he's been walking so long that it's now noonday, it's, you know, it's really hot now, and he's too far from the light. You know, that's why he's really tired. He lost track of time, and so he's turning around thinking, you know, I think I need to get back to the water. He doesn't know where he is now. So he's getting a little worried. He starts to call out to some of his friends. So he says, Connie, skunk, can you hear me? I need help. He listens for the Connie, and the Connie doesn't respond. So then he calls, Nita, bear, I need your help. Nita, can you hear me? The bear doesn't answer. So then he walks a little further, and he's really tired. And he says, Isi, deer, can you hear me? Can you help me, Isi? And there are no deer. The deer doesn't answer his call. And so he just lays down, and you know, he's just losing all hope. He doesn't know what to do. Well, in those same woods, there's this hunter. And now the hunter, he's been hunting all week for food, can't find any food, you know, to feed his family. And so at this point, he's really desperate. And he's thinking to himself, oh, there's no isi, there's no deer, there's no coney, skunk, there's no nita, bear to eat. What am I going to do to feed my family? And then he hears these cries. And he turns and he looks, and off in the distance, he sees Chinchuba. And so the hunter is thinking, oh, there's the answer to my prayers. I'm going to go get that Chinchuba and I can feed my family. So as he's getting closer, he realizes, oh, Chinchuba is stuck. You know, he can't move. And so he's thinking, you know, what do I do? Do I feed my family or do I help him? And so Chinchuba tells him, I can't move. I need help. Will you help me? And so the hunter, instead of helping his family and taking advantage, he decides, you know what, they're not going to help this alligator. And so he says, well, I'm going to tie your hands and I'm going to tie your mouth, but I can see that you need help, so I will help you. And so he ties his hands, he ties his mouth, he puts him on his shoulder, and he carries Chinchuba all the way down back to the bayou. And as he's cutting the ropes, and Chinchuba swims away and gets back into the bayou, the hunter is thinking, well, that was my only meal ticket, I guess. You know, I'm on another day, I don't know what I'm going to do. So as he's walking away, Chinchuba, after he's been refreshed with the water, he comes back up and he tells the hunter, he says, you know, because you helped me and you decided to take pity on me, I will do something for you. Because I know that you are trying to feed your family. As long as your people live here, as long as you're in these woods, there will always be animals here for you to eat and to hunt, and there will always be clean water for you to drink in these creeks. And so the hunter said, you can do that? Really? He says, oh yes, I have family, my relatives, the isi, the bears, they just weren't here when I needed them, but they'll be here for you. And so, because of that, there is in Lacombe, in Tammany, and all the areas where I grew up and where we grew up, there was always animals in the woods for us to eat. There was always clean water for us to drink. And that story carries on. And it teaches us to always still have compassion despite whatever hardships we're going through. Just to remember that we're all relatives and we all take care of each other at the end of the day. So, thank you. Can you hear me fine? Okay. So I'm just going to give a context of Native history in Louisiana, specifically New Orleans and Tammany and Washington Parish. And just to show you that everywhere you look around in the city, there's always a footprint, you know, and just to know that you gotta know where to look. So, Choctaw Bvlbancha means Choctaw people here and forever. And so, just for a little bit of context, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the colonial history, pre-colonial history, and then bring it into modern times. So, I'm from an area called the Choctaw, the North Shore. It means many waters squeezed by hand because of the topographic ridges that are around the area. We have all the bayous, the swamps, all the waterways that lead to the Mississippi River. We call that squeezing waters. It's like we're squeezed by the Creator. So that's why we call it Ochole Okwa or Ochokwa, squeezing waters. And so if you can see right here, this is the territorial markers of the Bayou Lacombe Choctaw. So even into southern Arkansas, they ranged, our territories ranged from. So approximately, I think 2,000 square miles was, 1,600 square miles. And previously these were the lands of the Hachapakti, which a lot of you are familiar with, the Chipampa peoples. So they were here first, following by the Otlapisa and my tribe, the Choctaw. And this right here is just a depiction of Bernard's depiction of in 1769 of some of our community members over in along Bayou Lacombe going towards Slidell. So if you've noticed, at this point we're already building with log houses. You see cooking along fires in some of our baskets, and a lot of longleaf pine. And this was taken around 1899 in Mandeville, around the Chinchaba community. And so to bring it back down locally, talk a little bit about the mobility and trade networks. I know a lot of you, we talk about Bvlbancha in the land acknowledgement. Bvlbancha meaning the land of many tongues. So if you can imagine, the Mississippi River, just like it's used today as a trade hub, was used the same way 300 years ago before the French arrived. And can you just imagine all of these cultures coming from as far north as Cahokia in Illinois, coming down here and traveling southeast and moving down to the Yucatan. So this was a major trading hub. So you have Muscogean dialects, you have Nawa dialects coming down from here, you have some of the dialects that are up the Mississippi River Valley, the Shawnee, some of the people up there, their dialects being spoken in Bvlbancha didn't just necessarily mean New Orleans, but really communities that were up and down the Mississippi River Valley that were places of many tongues. Basically a designation for places where you had multiple languages spoken. So yes, New Orleans was the major hub, but Bvlbancha really refers to all major trade networks up and down the coastal Mississippi River Valley. And this is an example of trade in action. This was taken in 1847 by Alfred Wassel of some of the Choctaws along Bayou St. John. And this was taken in 1899 by William Rogers of Choctaw filet sellers. And if you notice, here's some of the filet over in the corner, and a big burger baskets, which we would sell our big crops like our corn and our squash. But that was a common scene that you would see in the French market. A lot of Choctaw sellers, from basket weaving to just regular crops, even filet sassafras for the gumbo. Those were common items that you would see in the French market. So just to talk a little bit about family structures, this very much exists today. We are matrilineal, so that means that our family unit follows out of the mother and the mother's brothers. So here's just a little differences. Women, we would be the head of the household. Clan systems do follow the women, and intermarriages between Choctaw communities from this side of the Pearl River, even into Mississippi and in Alabama. There was a lot of intermarriages and trading from them just because, you know, small towns, you can get away from that. But as a result, it really kept the networks open. Children were raised under the matrilineal line. The mothers, brothers were the ones that taught important life skills to the sons, not the father. So that, you know, from disciplining to hunting, wood carving, which is very different from American society. You know, Americans and French, just Europeans, when they would come and they would see a lot of our villages and how they were, and how we govern ourselves, it was a little bit of a culture shock. And that is something that still exists today, being matrilineal as we are. So, Ohoyo means women. We are known as the givers of life. So, Choctaw women were the foundation of our communities. We were the primary stewards of agriculture, policymaking, and artisans. And we used to, we still do, but we're the primary creators of basketries, textiles, and pottery. But nowadays, you know, of course, both men and women do that. Whereas you have the takers of life, Hatak, the men, just as women have vital and sacred roles within Choctaw communities, is balanced by the roles of men. So while we are considered the givers and nurturers of life, men are considered the takers of life. So we give birth to communities. Men kill the enemies who threaten for the future of Choctaw communities. Similarly, while women grow gardens, men supplemented their family's diet with meat from animals that they hunted, such as deer, bear, meat, and others. And boys could only become men through years of hard physical, mental, spiritual training, or most importantly, feats in battle. And these are just side-to-side comparisons. So what sets Choctaw people apart, and you even see that nowadays, is the fact that women's roles in times of war. So we really weren't a warlike community, and we're very passive, but we also didn't shy away from war. And women also fought with the men in battle. And which is why, could you imagine being in a council meeting and you know all the delegates are made of men, and you see people coming in, these Choctaw people, and there's women behind them, you know, and that's the culture shock I'm talking about. That it's almost like, well, how important do they uphold women if they have them in decision-making places? So that just shows how highly regarded women, and not just women, but elders were, because they were brought in open circles like that as well. And so that brings us into Bvlbancha, Ishtaboli. So going towards the point of passive, by passive, I mean, we weren't really warlike, we didn't go out to war, but we could solve disputes from just playing a game, we did that. And so that holds true to today. Bvlbancha meaning little brother of war. You see evidence of that with Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge meaning red stick. That was the original boundary marker between the Bvlbancha and the Homa. And there was a huge game that was played over 500 miles. And it was basically to mark the hunting boundaries for that. And so when the French arrived and they asked the Homa people, what is this territory called? The Homa said, oh, Iti Homa. You know, it's red stick. And so the French translated that as to Baton Rouge. But a huge stickball game was played for that. And it's the precursor of lacrosse. So, and if you're familiar with how violent lacrosse can be, this is even more, even more violent. So this is a depiction of, the top picture is what Bvlbancha was back in the 1500s and 1600s. You can just see, you see a lot of warriors coming out. playing, and there were no rules. So yes, you did have some people maimed, and some people did unfortunately die, but nowhere near the numbers that you would see if we actually went to battle. And so that legacy is kind of like stands true to today. So it's just like you see Kansas and Missouri football games against each other. You see rival Choctaw communities against each other, continuing that tradition, but instead of war, it's a game. And this is just another close-up video of that. And the top right, you see the women playing as well, and that just continues that tradition of us always being in battle with the men, because if our husbands, if our brothers fell, the women would take their place. And there's actually a famous story of the Georgia boundary lines between the Muscogee and the Choctaw people, where trying to figure out the boundaries where the Choctaw men fell, the Choctaw women came and picked up the sticks and finished that battle. So because of that, we're one of the few southeastern tribes that can play stickball with the men. The Cherokee don't really like that. But Choctaw people today, did any of you see anything significant about the locations, about some of the tribes that are here? Live from Louisiana, right? Louisiana has one of the most densely populated indigenous communities in all of the Southeast, but also one of the most unrecognized as well. So you have the Mississippi Band of Choctaw, of course, in Mississippi, and Moa Band in Alabama, but then you have the Gina Band, the Choctaw Apache Tribe, Clifton Band of Choctaw. All of these, except for Oklahoma, all of these are in Louisiana. And each have their own stories, their own histories, their own migration stories of how they got there, and removal stories, but each very valid, each pertaining to, each very distinct to their own communities and histories. And so, so this is what the Mississippi Band of Choctaw, this is them today. Some of these are depictions of just what you would find in their communities. You see the Medicine Wheel Garden up there. Some of their events, they have World Series, which is that stickball team. Down there you see, this is the Moa Band of Choctaw, located in Alabama. They are a state recognized tribe. You have the Gina Band, which is a federal recognized tribe in central Louisiana. Choctaw Apache, who are known for their tamales. You have the Clifton Band of Choctaw right next to the Gina Band of Choctaw. They are a state recognized tribe. And you have the Bayou Lacombe Band of Choctaw. And you have the Bvlbancha Choctaw way down there in the Bayou parishes in Louisiana. And then you have the Oklahoma, which nobody really cares about. But you have them. When they're in southeastern Oklahoma. We like to joke with each other. Okay. And these are just some things that we do amongst our communities to really bring awareness and also bring the communities together. We love to visit each other, kind of have friendly rivalries. So you have the Choctaw Labor Day festival / tournament. You have the Choctaw Indian Fair over in Mississippi, and Whole Métis Society that's found in Choctaw Apache. And that society really helps bring awareness to the language and food and culture back into their communities. So these are just different things that that we'd like to do to just to keep the youth and the community involved. So bringing in more on a broader spectrum, working with the federal government, we really are trying to find ways in which we could really bring back social food sovereignty and environmental protections back into our communities. And so one way that we do that is working with IAC, the Intertribal Agriculture Council, and there's regions all across the United States from the north, south, east, west, and a newly established southeastern region. And like I said, it's times where it's a organization where tribes can come together to figure out, okay, what ways can we provide better food access to ourselves, traditional food access, because water is life, but food is medicine. And how do we better have that medicine accessible for ourselves? And then you have the National Congress of American Indians. And this focuses not just on agriculture, but anything else that tribal communities need. Whether that is working with environmental protections, or any type of issue that's going on in that particular region. Because what's going on in the Northern Plains is a lot different than what's going on in the Southwest. What's going on in the Southwest is different than what's going on in the East or the Northeast. So the National Congress of American Indians really come in, and that is a chance for all tribes, over 530 federal recognized tribes and state recognized tribes, and even those from Hawaii to come and to sit down and have a conversation. How can we be better stewards amongst each other? What do we have as Native peoples in our communities to come and benefit your community? And last year it was hosted in New Orleans, so this is why you see a lot of southeastern connections here. Bringing it back to a more local level, you have OHIH, Oklahoma, Ikishmolo, People of the Sacred Medicine Path. And this is an organization that I work with. It was founded by Angela Como and Monique Verdun of Muscogee and United Home Nations, respectively. And all for the same message, how can we bring back food access to us, and not just food, but medicines, our traditional uses of plants, such as dyeing, and how is food connected to culture. And so having that accessibility is very important. Really, COVID-19 just proved how important having access to food when it's scarce on a national level, how important that is. So these are just some of the places. You see the Medicine Wheel Garden up at the top right corner. That's located on the University of Southern Mississippi campus. And that was a multi-tribal effort from the Mississippi Choctaw, Homa Nations. We had some Muscogee Creek contributions in there, but it's all native plants, whether it be food, dyes, shrubs, everything in there is native plants. And then you have up on the top left, Bvlbancha, which is a depiction of some of the mounds that you would have seen in New Orleans pre-colonial times. And the bottom is a Three Sisters garden, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So in St. Tammany Parish, we're doing the same thing, just bringing back some of the traditional agriculture that we have. So starting with the Medicine Wheel Garden, we have just a smaller version of it, but yeah, basically just bringing that knowledge back to our communities, working with other tribes like the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, bringing back those heirloom seeds that were removed back in 1903, bringing that back to St. Tammany and Washington parishes. Because corn was a huge staple in our diets, and so when we bring that back, when we bring back our natural meat source like deer, like bear, you'd be surprised on the wellness, the change, the positive change in your bodies. So working with them is what we're doing on the North Shore. So this is a picture of our Medicine Wheel Gardens. It's small, but it's a work in progress. And the Three Sisters garden right here is called Three Sisters, consisting of corn, peas, and squash, and because of their relation to one another, how they protect each other. And this was taken last year. So members of our community came out and we make our corn, we plant our corn in a mound style. So this was for Earth Day last year. And this is how tall they got. And this was from heirloom seeds that were taken back in 1903 from the Louisville, brought back here from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. And this is an example of a chuka, a palmetto house that you have seen all up and down like St. John and New Orleans and even along the shore. And it was just a way where people can come and see, something other than French and Creole architecture, some of the traditional architecture that we would see. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with palmetto, but it is a very cool insulated plant. So a lot of houses, even though it could be 100 degrees outside, you walk in a palmetto house because of the way that it's pitched and the fact that the material, it could be 20 degrees cooler in there. So this was taken back in 2021. Some members of the Muscogee Choctaw and Bvlbancha came out to help. Hi, this is what it looks like on the inside. And this is an example of, this is Mathilde and Samuel Johnson, some of the last Choctaw movers in Bayou Lacombe, but not anymore because there's about 5. And another famous Bvlbancha Choctaw basket weaver whose grandmother was from the Bayou Lacombe region. So, yeah. And that's it. Thank you.
Community Church Unitarian Universalist is a self-sustaining congregation. Members of Friends Generosity help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online at ccuunola.org/stewardship, or you can text the word GIVE to the number which is on the back and the bottom of your order of service. You can also send us a check at 6690 Clearville Drive, New Orleans, 70124. Our offertory song, Sarah, I wonder if you would tell us the title of the song you're about to sing. Abba Ishtala, thank you. Holy Spirit song, which you all may know by tune, Amazing Grace. So we will sing the first verse in Choctaw, and then we have 3 verses in English, and then we'll be projected. benediction comes from Scierra LeGarde. May we respond better to risks and dangers with a beloved community who can be counted on as a woven basket that encompasses the gifts for protection, for honor, for ceremony, and for expressions of interconnectedness. May we prevail in our intentions to make a gift of the world to the next generations of beings living and non-living that help it all come together for good. And now please join me as we extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish